Lord, thank you for this day and all the blessings that you give us daily, Lord. I pray for these people, families that we've listed, that you comfort them. Lord, you're so good to us. Pray you give us wisdom and every decision we make will be pleasing to you and the people that we represent. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item is a consent item. I hope each one of you had a chance to look over the board packet. Do I have a motion to approve the consent item?
I'll make a motion to approve consent items A, B, C, D, and E. All of them.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second, okay. Let's do a roll call if you don't care. Mr. Enoch?
Yes.
Mr. McHale?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
And myself, yes. We have Mr. Hesson and Mr. Lewis are absent. Superintendent actions, any of those you would like to pull or discuss?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir. Is this on superintendent actions? Well, I mean,
The
you,
permission to bid the demolition, what we talking about, the same law building?
you want to address that?
I'm gonna let Tim address it more in depth because he's handling the project, so
Okay, Tim can answer those questions.
I know what it is, but I'm gonna let him.
We've got, Mr. Travis, is working down there right now. We've gotta do some exploratory things to get the plans approved, have bust some concrete, different things to make sure the building, whatever it needs for that. But after that, we may need to have that sign removed on the wall. That's gonna take, rental line, that sort of thing. Be some demolition work there. That's what it is.
They're not gonna start.
They have cleaning it out and taking some of those, things apart and removing like drywall. They've gotta get in there to see some of those support structures and things like that.
I may be behind, I may not approve it. Are they, or is anyone gonna do the job?
Well, he got approved as the,
He's our construction manager.
construction manager.
Okay, that's all right.
He's not approved for that. He's approved, and it may not even have to you had some concern about getting into the holidays and getting behind a month or two, and it may not beat the threshold. It has to be bid. He'll know more after they do the test, right? It was just,
Mr. Dudley's been handling all that, and I invite you or anybody else that, I know I stopped by the other day at the Save Lot Building, and, Mr. Dudley was there, and he explained to me what they were taking out and moving around and doing, and I advise any board member to go by there and see Mr. Dudley. He can explain it more in depth of what's going on.
Well, I went by it.
Oh, okay.
To me, that's what demolition is, part of what they're doing. Like some of this,
Right,
so that's all I want to know.
yeah. But now you were considering demolition, knocking down block and removing signs.
Yeah, some of that stuff, I mean, most of what they've done is cleaned out. We've had, of course, architect's been there, had a couple different engineering firms there. And they're working on the plans to submit those to the state fire marshal's office. But before the engineers sign off on it, there's some things they've gotta see with the support system, the slab, that part of that building has been added on to, looking under those piers and digging some of that. So that's getting ready to do that right now. If we had waited to do anything, it'd put us, another 2 or 3 months behind as far as getting the plans approved.
Any more questions, Steve? Okay. I will say also, while I was there looking, that thing has got a good looking sprinkler system in it, which will be a big, big plus for his expense wise. I mean, well, I guess negative wise instead of plus.
They did the elevator too.
Yeah,
They built it up.
Yeah.
Higher.
Yeah. yeah, so, it, you know, what I'm seeing down there, everything looks good, so.
At the building.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else on superintendent's actions, anything? Okay, let's go to new business. We need to approve the 25-26 school calendar. Do I have a motion? Mr. Ennis? Second? Mr. Manning? Discussions? Yes, sir. Mr. McCallum?
I think, Director, we talked about this a couple, me and him, I think in private, but you ever see us doing a full school year like some of these surrounding counties are doing? You ever see that happening here?
That would be a board decision. I think it'd have to be a lot of, some townhouse meetings. There'd have to be some polling of the community, there'd be some polling of the teachers and the students and the families, obviously. It is an option. I mean, we've checked on it with the states. I mean, it's considered an alternate schedule, you know, there's still systems close to us doing the 9-3 schedule, the 9-2 schedule. Some has been on it, but, you know, I don't know that you could sell it, but it would be, I think they would retain better on it, myself. But, I don't know you can ever sell it, you know what I mean? You'd end up going like to a 4-day, you'd save a lot of money because you'd have the doors shut 3 straight days. It would save a lot of heating and cooling, and it wouldn't save you any more days on your actual diesel fuel and that kind of thing. But it is, and I can run research and bring it back if you'd like.
What is it, how do they go, how many weeks do they go and then they take off? How does it?
Well, you gotta they give you a time frame from this start point to this start point, and you'd have to get special permission if you went longer. But the key is you gotta get 180 or 85 days in that time frame to consider a school year. So that's something you'd have to get, if you go past that date, you would have to get special permission, but you still bunch your Christmases together, like a 2-week, and you still bunch and even on a 9-3, what you do, you take all the 1-day breaks out and really make sure they're really combined. So, but it's doable if it's something you want to do, but I think it'd be a lot of planning and research, and, you know, we'd have to get community involvement big time, you know.
This calendar is made up by the calendar committee, right? We have a calendar.
Yeah, I made a point, I don't go to this where they can't say that the administration's forcing them to do, one thing, we send out surveys, and then they represent a rep from each school, and then they come in, and I would do it different, I don't like some, but that's what it's not about, it's about what the school wants to do.
Any more questions? All right. No more discussion. Roll call. Mr. Enoch? Yes. Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 2 absent. Next thing is the approval of the Azar Incorporated as a backup vendor for copying paper. Do I have a motion to approve the paper? Yes. Mr. McCallum? Second. Mr. Taylor, second.
Just a second to catch up.
Okay.
Mr. McCallum, Mr. Taylor?
Mr. McCallum made the motion, Mr. Taylor second.
And Mr. Shoulders, for the public to know, it's because we were having problems with Staples delivery, and the letter told all the problems we were having while we're doing a second backup.
We're gonna still use Staples, we can get it, it's just if we can't.
They'll have the option to go the
Right.
cheapest or to go with the best service.
Okay, understood. Discussions? If not, this is money, so, let's have a roll call. Mr. Enoch?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 2 out. Now, bid approval for diesel fuel. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussions?
Say diesel fuel,
Yes, sir.
do we have a local person that can, or company that can provide that fuel? I think I noticed it's like $300 difference.
We do bids on it. And, you usually take the lowest bid, don't you?
And we've took the lowest bid. A lot of times the local is the lowest bid. It's in the past, they've just used the cheapest price we could get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a few cents, is it still beneficial to us to go outside the county?
Well, you're saving quite a bit of dollars, that's just a decision that the board's gotta make, but most of the time they work together, those companies do, so like if local's out, they'll go outside and work with that partner company, so, I think most of the time, a lot of times they talk to each other whether they should or not, but I think they all do, you know what I mean?
And I think local,
I think a lot of it comes from the exact place.
I think probably what, 95% of the time local gets
Yeah,
it.
Nixon,
Yeah.
Nixon,
Uh,
Mr. McDonald Nixon gets it a lot of the time.
Rita Apple, makes.
That's really, that's kinda shocked she didn't get it there this
Well,
time,
she
you know.
gets probably 95% of the bids she gets. Yes, sir. And to answer your question too, he always does, you do try to do local if it's any way possible.
Yeah.
He will do local.
That's when we give you the bids and you make the decision, we don't instruct or point who you should pick. That's up to the board, you know what I mean?
Any more discussions? Roll call, Mr. Enid? Yes. Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 2 absent. Accountability report for 24-25. Do I have a motion on that one?
So moved.
Second? Thank you, Mr. Enid, second. Discussions? No discussions? Again, let's do a roll call on that. Mr. Enid?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, the next item is a discussion only. This is, something, some of the supporters for the, baseball team have come up with some needs that they need. And again, this is discussion. I will also say at any time you get anything like this, and, feel free to contact, Mr. Smith. And I've been involved in this with, Mr. Long, and I've had several discussions with him. I know a little something about it, but not as much as Mr. Smith does. And at any time, any of y'all want to discuss this with him or me, well, then if it fits me, we don't make any kind of decisions. We'll just discuss it. And because there will be no kind of decisions made between the two of us, but it will be discussed. But anytime, right now, I want to, really turn this over to, Mr. Smith and let him explain exactly what they're looking for.
Do you want me to do a question and answer or I'll tell you what I know. I met with, I think, Mr. Long in
Let me
March.
stop you. Mr. Long also, he did get y'all information. Each one of them's got information on what he was wanting to do. Did you, Mr. Daniel, did you get the information on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Pardon?
Yeah, I was involved when they started.
Okay, all right. And, Mr. McCallum, you got, yeah, that's it, sir. And all the rest of you got it. Okay, all right, I just want to make sure.
I think you talked to him. I met with Mr. Long in March, talked about lights. That's when we talked about when we were putting the budget together, and I'm gonna let Norma and Mr. Nixon both have done some research for me. While I don't think the proposal of it's realistic, I wanna say this, when I moved down here, and I'm not from a baseball background at all, loved it, coached it, played it, but I'm not a baseball, so But I couldn't believe it, at that time, neither team had a field or lights. And I don't think that's very realistic in today's world. I mean, I couldn't believe that, and that's been 20 years ago now. So I'm a big advocate to think that needs to happen. How we get there, we may differ. You know, my son's a very good player, and he's gonna go, I know, 4 years and not have a field, and not have lights. And that shouldn't happen. I mean, in today's world, every kid should have those opportunities, boys and girls, okay? You know, when I got the thing, I went to the principal. He didn't really know anything about it. The AD didn't know anything about it. The coach didn't know anything about it. So I really think those things, I know from being a coach, I think that should be the protocol these things should go through, the principal and AD, and then it be presented. But I asked Mr. Nixon, and David, when you talk, I know you're gonna be honest, but I think you went to 5 different counties and looked. And one thing you did find out is we got a beautiful field. You got to brag on the boosters, and they've done the boosters and the coaches have done an absolutely wonderful job, and a lot of them's done a lot of out of pocket. They've been I don't want to start naming, I don't leave anybody out, but they deserve the credit, them and the past players and parents and boosters. We put netting up several $1,000 a few years ago. Then one of the things that really caught my attention, that I did pay a lot of attention to, was in the report, was safety. And so that's when I got David involved. What y'all been over there? 3 trips. We met with the netting guy. Then you brought was it engineers over from Bonnell?
They're the ones that put poles or made the poles that are there now.
And
Poles and show us what we did wrong.
whoever, I don't know who installed them, but whoever did, they probably wasn't put in correctly because they were put in you're going to explain all that. And then adding the extra netting did probably cause too much stress on the poles. I looked at them too, because I thought maybe they're supposed to be that way, but that wasn't the case. But we did find out that Bonnell graciously is going to donate some hurricane level poles when they run them, correct?
Right.
And then we're going to get the netting guy lined up. It'll end up having to absolutely have new netting. Of course, part of that goes back to the netting. I don't know how much you want to hear, but last week when we were going over insurance, talked to Mr. Piper. He says that at the cost, we're better off to pay for windshields than we are to keep adding. So insurance and things, but that's another story. But back in budget talks, as you know, one of the things when we negotiate, and we had to cut $1.5 million, and that was one of the things that was in there was the lighting and diesel fuel and electric and those kind of things. And I think at that time we had a plan that if we look, our budget's on schedule, that we would look at going in front of the county commission. Normally when you talk about what we talked about today, that and asked for an amendment to make that happen. Okay. One thing you got to be very cautious about, not only does it need to be equal, but you can't do boys. It's my job to advise you, but you can't do boys and not do girls. Now you have to. That's not Title IX will be in here. I see, and I'm gonna let Robin talk about that too. But they have, even if somebody doesn't turn you in, which I would hope somebody in the office would turn you in because it's illegal. But even if they don't, they have people. It's in this area right now that are going to schools and asking. And that, what people don't understand, if you had a booster, and Robin, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you had a bazillion-dollar booster that built you a stadium, they don't care where it come from. The girls are going to have one that is that level or better, and guess who's going to pay for that? So we have to keep that in mind, and everything has to work together when we do it. I think at that time we talked about $700,000. That's what I've got wrote down. Is that correct? For both, but again, and I think we're going to explain the amendment process, but we also, I think in March, we talked about adding a fence. Coach Apple and I have been talking for about 2 years of adding a fence. Not only we need a fence around the football because it looks bad. We've done a lot of upgrades over there, and the fence looks terrible. That's one of the things that we've had on our short list, and we would love to incorporate the baseball in that. While we're doing that you're probably looking at about $300,000 to do that. And Norma's trying to pull her magic, and we're writing a grant. We don't know we'll get it yet, but we are writing a grant, and that's what we're planning on doing with that.
$580,000.
That won't cover it all, but maybe we can get started in a project with it. That's if you get it. Now, you don't know you're gonna get it. I would encourage you to stay within the plan, because that's, to do, that's what we've got, what we have is planning. But it's your decision. That's where I'm at. David, if you'd like to talk now about what you found out and what they suggested on when we put the new poles up.
The Bonnell's going to donate the poles. They're gonna be 30 feet long. They sit 4 to 6 feet in the ground. They will be hurricane rated. So what's up there now is a 4-inch pole, 3/16 width of it. Ones we get now are going to be a little bit quite a bit bigger. So, and I talked to Ned, and Bonnell's going to donate those parts. They said, so we, give them the go-ahead, they'll make them. And, so, that was a good thing. I met with the netting guy today. He's really the guy that showed me everything around it. Where the brick is, busted around there, that's called the poles. They were putting concrete, concrete, that's going gravel. Poles have to move. And that's what caused all that break. That's what caused the bend, was that they were putting concrete. Honestly, that made no sense to me either, but that's what he said, because I would thought you was holly full of concrete. He said, no, they've got to move. And, he suggests, cutting those off, off the brick, and going right on the inside of there. You can go down and, he showed the process of doing it. So they're gonna be, it's gonna be a job. But, that's what I learned about it today. He didn't recommend, the overhang on it. He didn't recommend doing that. He thinks they'll be tall enough that it won't need it. But, he said putting that on it did contribute to the bending of the poles. So, that's where we are now. Everything else I can think of to tell you. I went around to, I told you the other ball fields, just look, did talk to you about it, just looked at it. These are gonna be quite a bit taller than what's at the school around this area that I went to. And I'd say the reason for that, they're out at their school campuses, ours is in the middle of the residential section, so ours have to be a little taller, but we got more to protect. So, they don't, these schools I went to, they don't have a problem we do like that, have to build one as tall as what we're doing. Anything else you ask me on, I don't know it all, I'll figure it out.
How much is the deck?
He's gonna give me, he said, take me 2 or 3 days for him to give me a.
I want to say the last one we put, and I may be wrong, and that was when we added a couple, was about 13,000, but I may be wrong in that. I think I could go back.
This one is a good net, he says 15-year warranty on this net, but, what we'd have to do then, if we try to use that again, we're gonna have to piece it together, because it's gonna be taller than what we got now. So I told him, give me a price on the net, just go with that.
Was he going to put, was we going to try to work somebody local or on the poles? They want them already put in, or he do it all?
Yeah, we'll put the.
We have to have the poles up, and then he puts the netting up.
And then he'll come in and do that. We'll have to, we don't have, that's the thing about putting them up, because we don't have the equipment to get that stuff up to do it. So, but we'll figure something out. Talk to Oklahoma, somebody with some big, bucket truck or something other that can do that sort of work. But I don't think me and Brady big enough to do that.
You'll have to have some of the big bit too,
Girls field. I went over there and walked around this weekend, but I didn't see what's wrong with girls field down there. Girls field.
I've not heard anything about it except the dirt they put on its own thing that did locally, lately in that ditch.
Does it have a brick wall behind the backside there? I should remember.
I'm sorry, yeah, there's a brick wall around.
Softball field.
On the softball? No, I can't remember.
I can't.
I can't remember either which one they got.
I don't believe those poles busted that wall until they added to it. But they did while I was there.
Baseball field?
Until they added it to it.
Yeah,
Any other questions, Mr. McDonald?
May I say something?
Yes, sir.
I met with some of the people who organized that, and they made 4 or 5 points, and I think we're already on the same page, but, I learned that there's only less than a handful of high school baseball fields in Tennessee that don't have lights.
I'd say that's true.
And, of course, the field and everything was paid for by the boosters, no cost to us, and they estimated about $750,000 worth of work, and they still, or as a group, had over $150,000 on it. The boys boosters built the girls' field too. And, these fields have enabled, at a point in time when we were sharing Crump Parish with Gordon High School, there weren't enough practice facilities for the junior high to even have teams. And now the junior highs have teams, of course, they need the lights so they can better utilize the practice time there. If you consider this, the teams, the extra junior high teams, really, there's more students involved in the baseball program now in our county than are in either one of the high school football programs. And they just wanted me to make that point, which I think we're already on the same page, we need to help them. And not having the lights, sometimes they have to call the games early because of darkness. There's a safety issue with that too, you know, kids get hit in the head with a baseball because they can't see it. Don't know who would be liable, but I'm sure fast-talking lawyer find somebody. But, safety issues and everything, and again, I think we're already on the same page, we want to help them, and I agree it needs to be done.
I think every boy and girl ought to have that opportunity. I think how we get there is what we gotta figure out, you know what I mean? But I think we should have had it 20 years ago.
I was gonna say the last, I was chairman of the board when they put the ball field in. What year was that? 2010, 2011. We had a big meeting. We couldn't put lights on the field at the time because that was the agreement we had made to put the fields up there with the residents, the people of the residents. And it has to be no lights put into that field until the last resident agrees to it or ceases or sales. I think that's the point to make.
Well, I've heard that, but we've tried to research that and we can't find that. I'm not saying that, I've been told,
The way it was presented, that's how
would it be in the board minute? We
I
can't,
would ask Mr. Brooks, the attorney, because he was representing them
okay.
at the time, and Mr. Beverly was representing us, and it was put in that at the time, so Mr. Brooks would be the person who probably was going to talk to. But now, that being said, I'm all for lights. I ain't gonna say, hey, I'm not for lights. I've been for lights for years now. You need lights. And now, we have a plan in our budget this year to put some lights on. Now, listen, let's be realistic. I don't know if we're gonna get $400,000 for lights. I'd be a light, you just turn on the switch and get lights. Now, that was something. But I do agree, we need to have lights. Both of them, so all campus. Agree with that. And I think the school board has a plan over the past few years. What a lot of people's gotta realize is, guys, we have retreats, we have strategic planning sessions, and usually either January, February, or March, we all get together, and we'll put these on our tracking list. And then we slowly start trying to knock them down. Lights is actually on it this year. Now, we got to cut out a budget. Now, we can do a budget amendment, which we agreed we probably would, go back and say we get some, we had $700,000 in the budget this year, $300,000
one thing everybody's got to remember right now. We plan and try to put stuff in order how we want to do stuff. We've got other needs pressing right now. We got our number one need at this board right now, we talked about it the last board meeting. We've got to get some traffic off the highway in Middleton. Now, we don't have the money to do that. But that's the number one pressing need we got, getting that traffic flow going over there. We also got a pressing need to feed it for traffic too. Get traffic over there. So keep in mind, we got more needs for that than we do for lights. If the poles and stuff is a safety issue, maybe that's different. Fencing, yeah, anybody can walk around on that field if they want to. Used to fencing was cheap. You said it's gonna be about $300,000 now.
Now, that's counting, not just that, that's counting what we've planned on going from the football field all the way around, incorporate the baseball field in it, so you,
Hopefully we can get a safety grant.
we got our fingers crossed that we,
Grant, that's good, Dave. So I'm 50% in the road. I'm not 100% sold. But, so there's some things I think that we can work in, starting the planning, try to help them. I'm glad that, we've got some needs, but I'll tell you, be very careful because there's more things out there than Smith County High School baseball. People, there's also softball, there's also other baseball, there's softball, there's football, yes. So, but I applaud Smith County for doing the baseball field. I think you got a beautiful field. Now, I understand we gotta get some lights on that field, and probably gotta get a backdrop. And some of this other stuff, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But right now, in order for us to do this, I think it has to be kind of put down on the totem pole just a little bit further, because I personally, guys, think we got some stuff on our agenda that we need to knock off the list first before we get into these. Like I said, I'm all for the lights, and in the budget, but that's what I hate to go to the county commissioners and ask money to be put back in the budget. Amendment done for lights, when I know we're gonna have to have an amendment done for the parking lots that Milton is feeding, which is not gonna be cheap either. So, I thank the Booster Club for giving us a list of our needs, and this is something we can talk about. And like I said, the lights are already been talked about. And this is a safety issue for this backdrop, so we need to get that fixed. We always want to make sure safety is first. Take care of that. That's how I feel, guys. That's just me. That's how I feel.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Have we got anything back from the state allowing us to work on either road?
I don't know that answer yet.
I think they're waiting for a permit at New Middleton, that's what we talked about starting. Do what?
It'll be hard to get a permit for that.
I've been told different, but I don't know.
I've been over and looked at that too, the proposal of that. I mean, that's our land. All we need is a permit to get off the road. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like Mr. Smith, on said about the proposal, so we're not asking them.
I've been told, but I don't know, I can't tell you that too, that'll happen until I see it, and
A lane up to the,
Yeah. Comes over to us on our property.
not the road side of it.
Lane put over on our property.
Okay, that might work.
it's got, but I don't know, I'm just telling you what we were
My
told.
understanding is we'll put a, like a pull-off lane connected to the main road. That would be hard to get them through.
I don't believe anything, I don't take it for granted till I see it in right, so I'm just telling you what I was told, I can't tell you that you'll get it, but we were told we thought we could, so.
Another point I'd like to make is, there's David sitting here, and there's a lot of other folks. They put a lot of money, him and others, time, into the baseball field and softball field. At some point, we can't just keep pushing down the road. At some point, we need to step up and at least help them. School board land, they're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars on our land. You know, at some point, we can't just keep saying year after year.
Which not what I'm saying.
Well, now, we've been talking about lights, since I was over here
I know,
last time.
and lights was in the budget, correct, guys?
Yes.
In the budget. We didn't cut them out, we had to cut them out.
Well, you did, I mean, you agreed to something like that.
We're working on something, yes, it's, but I applaud them for what they've done, and we need to help them as much as we can, but there's gonna be times, guys, we can't.
Well, I was on here 10 years ago, and we was talking about it then. You know, so we ain't made any progress really in 10 years as far as people like. Well, my point is, how long are you gonna keep?
You need to be checking on their agreement first. I advise you to go with Mr. Brooks.
We will do that, but we had research, we couldn't, we checked with the city and the mayor.
One passed away. I know that.
Or is Gordonsville building a field? Are they gonna need lights right now? I don't even know that.
They agreed that they would sign whatever, that they would never ask for lights, because they know what the parents over here's done in the community, that they would take that same amount of money and apply it toward the excavation and the fences and so on, and they'd sign an agreement to never ask for anything else.
So that's an expense that's not necessarily coming up right now, it's gonna be kind of a deferred expense to help Gordonsville squad. Am I mistaken, they're in the process of building their own building? The money was in the budget for this, it's $700,000 in the budget, half went to Gordonsville side, half went to over here to the lights. So what I'm saying is,
You're saying, but they were ready, Mr. McDonald, they were ready to,
down the road somewhere.
no, they're ready, my understanding now, they're ready to start, so I don't, Tommy may know more about that than I do, but.
Did that come through us as a board that? Did it come through us first? I don't remember. Somebody refresh my memory. Did they ask us if they could build on our land, or we just said here and they can do what we want?
No, they got permission well before us, I think.
I'm talking about board.
They want now.
Have they started? I've heard it, but honestly, I'm not sure about that. Are they gonna start a practice, a field on the Preston property?
They've got two different options, my understanding, they've got a private piece that somebody might help them with, and then it would maybe the board obviously would have to give them permission to build on the Preston property. So,
Well, I think they're, without being that way, I am, but they're getting the cart in front of the horse then. I think you ought to come to us as a board collectively, say, hey, y'all got a problem with us building on that property. I mean,
They probably would, Marty, but there's another piece of property involved in this somewhere else, and they don't know where they're gonna go yet.
yeah, they would, before, they would have to come to they couldn't get it, they would have to ask,
Just like,
you couldn't touch anything on that property without the board's permission.
who's that?
Well, it'd be the principal and AD and the Booster Club, just like it was at Smith County.
Sometimes I think we let the boosters have too much say. They're sort of wagging the dog here, they're the tail wagging the dog, and I'm totally, maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but, I'm not against this at all, the lights, but I am against us pressuring the board some things that, I'm like, Tommy, I think you're skewing traffic at these two schools take highly more precedent than these licenses still, myself. That's a safety concern. You go to New Milton, sit over there, and if they was somebody need a ambulance, I don't know how to get through that traffic. I don't.
I don't think it's been nobody pressuring anybody, it's just, they were asked to put something together that what they would like to have.
You talking about doors?
No, he can't.
Marty, let me say that, it's just like Smith County. Smith County, that was bought and pretty much paid for with private money, okay? But they still, once it turned over, they got permission before they put that nice building out in Centerfield. They couldn't just go over and put it on it. You guys voted it. You
It
can't,
has to be voted in, everything
has to be, so
I
that,
was getting back to what Doc said about Lawrence's side. I mean, I've heard it, but I haven't addressed it, but I've heard it that they're wanting a practice field on the Preston property, is that correct?
they're wanting to build a field, a boys and girls complex.
And Mr. McDonald, I see what Mr. McDonald was saying, he was saying if.
If they didn't need it now,
They didn't need it now, in other words, go ahead and give Carthage their $350, but do a promise for $350 for Gordonsville. When they needed it, then give it to them, that's where you were going with this, right?
but I think what they were waiting on too is if the lights, cause my understanding, they're waiting for that, and they're gonna start their project. Because they've got, $350,000, they're about a lot of diesel fuel, and they think they've got a lot of that donated, a lot of the dirt work and so on. So that's what they're thinking.
But no, nobody on this right here come in and said, demanding, we want this, this, and this. They have just, me personally, I asked them to come up with what their needs were, and, what they needed, and then us as a board could see what, we could do. There was some things in there maybe that, maybe were, you could done it a little bit cheaper than what they were wanting to do. And, but far as them demanding anything, or anything like that, there was nothing like that went on. It was just a good sit-down conversation. Nobody promised anything. It was just bring what you would like to have, and then we could go from there.
This was in the budget and we voted on it.
Yes, it was.
We got beat, the one, me and you and.
We all voted to do this, to give each
Yeah, but
school.
then it got overvoted
Yeah.
because we was in that stressful time there.
And we still, my understanding of the agreement, we still was gonna visit that. There's two ways to get there. I mean, I've shut everything down. No, we're trying to pinch every cent we can pinch, okay? And we'd love to save that amount of money or see after the first year, kind of see where we're at and hope we had it saved out of this budget. I don't know that it'll be there. You could take it out of fund balance, but Norma's already shaking her head. I mean, it's in fund balance, but how long it's gonna stay there, I don't know. When you start going into fund balance, you're asking, and that's still got, with the new systems, gotta be approved as an amendment by the county commission, even if we decide that.
Well, I'm like Tommy, I got one more. That third column there with the 5,000 for the baseball maintenance. I can't agree with that at all.
Well, Marty, I think, if we could start, in good faith, the lights, and then we could talk about other, you know what I mean? One thing I found out is I researched that, and I would never want to see us come in, but one of the counties joins us, charge a $500 player maintenance fee. That's ridiculous. I'd hate to see us ask our kids to pay. But there's a county joins us, charges every kid on the team $500.
But again, that was asked from them what they would like.
I'm not trying to.
And we can go from there. It wasn't nothing that, yes, we want this, and this to make it work. It was just wish.
Yeah, it would be, to me, it'd be
Wish
awesome
list.
if we could give them $350,000 this year, and maybe next year we could do something else,
Right.
That's just but
But it's too late for a year now, probably, for them to have lights.
I don't know.
I don't. Like I say, I don't know about that. But now, you also said, Norma wanted to discuss far as,
The budget's just tight. I mean, we were asked by county commission to cut our proposed budget 1.5 million. And if you remember, I went in and cut water and sewer and electricity and diesel fuel back to last year's expenditures. So there'll probably have to be some amendments made there because I don't know about you all, but everything in my life is costing more than last year. So we're gonna have amendments there. There's just not, a lot of extra money. We're trying to finish the wellness centers. We're trying to work on the Save-A-Lot building. That's our priority. We're getting our staff paid. Sometimes Mr. Smith is mandated to hire extra staff, and we just have a few extra $100,000 right now that we can quote, pull up.
But right now, we're a little ahead of,
We're a little bit ahead.
yeah,
I mean,
it's early, you know what I mean, anything can happen, but
We've only paid 3 months of teacher salaries at this point, so we're only 25% into expenditures and salaries for the most part. So it's way early to let you know. Daisy did send us financial reports. I see that she's here late yesterday afternoon. She said that next month she'll try to have them ready so that the board can have information in their packets. So we'll share that with you also starting next month. But my advice is there's no way we can probably do the $13,000 net, we can squeeze that out of the FY25 budget. But if you're wanting to make a large expenditure like $350,000, it will have to go before county commission and hit fund balance. And I would need your all support there with me if that's how you.
And Norma, let me say this I said 13,000, I don't seem like that was what it was last time. But, so I don't know, it may be 8,
More than that, my answer's no.
it may be 8 and it may be 20, I don't know, but we can find out. The guy's gonna give you a bid, right, David?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he said take a couple days.
This may not be the time. How much money did we spend last year in our school system?
Oh, I have to look it up.
Maybe we can,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
look, I think it was 38.1, is that what they allowed that?
Well, that's, I think that
Or
was
is that
proposed.
different? I mean,
Yeah,
you know, I don't
proposed.
understand it.
I think we spent about 30, I hate to quote it without looking, about 31 million last year, I think. But I would like to look at financial records before that is repeated.
And I know the insurance and the things that
And
change.
the new insurance hasn't started yet, so I don't know what effect completely that's gonna have, because those first deductions come out in December. So we're still waiting to see exactly how all that comes in.
Was that approximately $4 million, or did I?
No, it was we had it estimated 1.6, I think.
The what?
Insurance. We had it
1.6,
estimated
1.6.
1.6.
1.6, but we're not going,
And the raises, that include the raises?
No,
No.
the raises were another again, my paper.
Roughly
I said a lot of
2.5.
numbers, 2.5.
Roughly 2.5.
about
2.5.
4.
yeah.
Yeah,
But,
Over the 31, so that puts us at 35.
yeah.
but you're not hardly gonna spend, and being upfront, you're not hardly gonna spend on the benefits as much, because it won't, even though we, signed up, they won't start or kick in till like January. So we'll save some.
But we adjusted our budget, remember county commission?
Well, that's true, I forgot that. Well, but the 1.6, we just told him, well, I think was incorporated in that.
Instead of, that was for the full 12 months, and then when county commission came back and wanted us to cut another million, we adjusted that insurance.
So it'd be like, more like 1.2.
If it's possible to get those figures for somebody like myself who doesn't understand accounting that well, where I can understand it.
Sure, do you want last year's numbers or this?
I think what you're, Mr. McDonough, if you'd like to come in and sit down, it'd be the best way. And
She's got time.
we got time,
No
yeah.
inconvenience. If I could understand it better, just
Well, we can make time if that, you
No,
know.
it's
if you
not a
want to
problem.
do, you
She's
know,
here
that
with-
can be allotted out to.
just let us know, and we'll have you a copy ran, you can write on, and just ask questions. Or you can, if you wanna take one home and ask notes on it, and then come back, it'd probably speed things up about,
yes.
could you have him one by the end of the week? Just-
Absolutely, you want last year?
Yeah, I think it's, and then have,
Last year.
and this year's too.
Know what the increase is gonna be this year as far as.
We'll have last year's and we'll have you this year's both, and then you can,
That'd be great.
Okay.
And then Daisy, are you gonna be here at the board meeting, or you, so once the financial reports start appearing in your packets next month, she'll also be here for questions if you have any also. I'm here, I know she's here, we both can hopefully answer. I have to have it in front of me. We see so many numbers, she and I both do, that I can't, it's hard to quote it without looking at the reports, it is for me.
I got a
Yes, yes, sir.
How many, EAs, paraprofessional, whatever, took the insurance? I mean, 80%?
you don't have the exact number, probably about 80%. What you showed me earlier, what was around,
Some of them did not take it.
Yeah, they did, I think.
yeah, they was some didn't take it.
I heard it, I don't remember the rates, we're not offering them any more money if they don't take it.
No, we got teachers don't take it. I mean, same,
We're
di-
not
Any more money?
No, we're not
We're
allowed.
not taking
hmm.
it. It's just, they don't make, hardly anything. If they don't take the insurance, they're cutting themselves out of, of course, they're doing it to themselves, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They're cutting themselves out of a pretty good benefit.
Yeah.
It's worth something.
Yeah, that's their, alternative, I mean, that's their prerogative to do whatever they want, but now,
No, I asked Audie a few years ago if we could compensate people for not taking insurance, like give them a $2,000 bonus, and the answer is no, you cannot pay
Well, that was my
if
question.
they do not take insurance.
I thought it could help a lot of people, if you could.
It's a great idea.
sure. Now, on the,
I-
Anything else?
Robin, we said we had Robin available too, but I would like you to explain Title IX just a little bit.
yeah, and, y'all have any more questions?
A little bit,
Ms.
not-
Norma, Any of you have any more questions
I
for her?
just wanna say on this, I'm all right with this too, my needs like Tommy, I just wanna reiterate, I think we have needs that's more pressing right now. I'm all right with this, I'm totally all right with this. Okay,
I started saying, Mr. Enoch, it'll be, when you have your lock-in, that's,
We'll be here all day, and you
Yeah.
can bring up anything you want to.
And this is where we make it, I mean, lights make this 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, during this whole day deal, if you want to change the colors of black and gold, you can do that.
I doubt that.
But we can discuss that, if that's what you wanna do. Yeah.
But the good thing is I'm happy that they have asked me to get these meetings well in advance before we make the retreat.
I will go to Mr. Brooks too and see if he's got anything on file.
He was there in term,
We couldn't find, the city didn't have anything recorded with the mayor, and they couldn't find that.
Do you think it'd be a good idea to put a time limit on how long those lights could stay on it? We wouldn't want no practice.
Well,
I don't think that you'd need to get into.
I have played ball before where that they shut them off. They set a city ordinance, you shut them off at 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
That's what I'm getting at.
I don't think that's, but
But now, if
But
you had
that's-
a
that might
tournament
make
or
people
some-
happy too,
If
you
you
know.
had a tournament or something like that going on, that could,
now, there is a few people was glad with not lights on this, because they said to get home quicker, they don't have to stay at the ballpark all night. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I had some people tell me that. It's not no lights. Of course, now they're getting gone.
I don't, that's something I don't think we need to,
They've also.
we need to,
Let's put the cart before the horse.
yeah, right, that's a lot of stuff down the road.
Those lights in advance, where they're more directional, and they're not gonna light up all the surrounding areas, or whatever that word.
Right.
They're not gonna be
Yeah.
able to not go to sleep on
Right.
light shining in their windows.
Now, anybody, Ms. Moore, we need to discuss Title I.
Just very briefly, I
Yeah.
think Mr. Smith wanted me to make sure that you all, board members that are not familiar with Title IX, I think most of you are, but, I mean, that is something that came into effect, you know, it's been in place for a long time, I think, 60s, 70s, maybe like 70s, I think. But if you have facilities where boys and girls sports are, you know, you have to make those equal, and if you don't, you can get complaints, you can get fined, there can be lots of issues. Title IX, police officers, responsibility. So, I mean, we have to make sure that those facilities, and most of the time it's the girls that get left out, not the boys, most of the time, that's the way that works. So if you provide facilities for play surfaces or whatever, it has to be at least equal to what the boys have, or what the girls have. It goes both ways, so like I said, it's not
Yeah,
just girls
they do go.
that get
I'll
left
have
out.
Tracy look at that.
It has to be equal.
Those big thick green books that you get, the school board, all the laws and stuff, does each new board member have one?
Oh, they don't have an actual book.
No, I'm not talking about financial,
Okay, you're talking about,
I'm talking about,
He's talking about the
Yeah.
policy manual,
yeah, policy manual.
but it's online.
Okay, gotcha.
and if they want us to print them, we'll print one if you want to ask him about it.
Any other questions? And I was just asking him, what I was asking about was, our, I guess.
Board policy.
Board policies. You do know each one of you can get online and run down and check board policies, I know. Which the older members, back then we done books and stuff, but now it's all online, and you do, both y'all understand that you can get online and look at all board policies. Okay, I just wanna make sure y'all were, you had access to that.
But we don't have access right now to pull out an individual item like policy, maintaining test security. Wonder why that is. Do y'all know, Bonnie? That, I mean, is it just in a format that we can't look at it right here, like on the very last page that has all the policy numbers?
It doesn't have the links, but you can go on the website and find those numbers and pull them up.
Yeah, you go on that
You look it up
website.
on the policy online.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
you can get and open up anything, I reckon.
yeah, just take that, Marty, and go with that policy number, look it up online, and it'll have it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, of course, Ricky, you can vouch for this, Joan, vouch for this too. I found myself in the old school, because we've been here a long time, Ricky.
Yeah, a long time.
Policies changes, and, I had one the other day I had to go look at, and I thought revised in 2021 off the original policy in 2005. I couldn't get you, so I didn't call it. But it changes, and sometimes I'm not aware it changes, because I'm thinking old school, you know? But we have the Tennessee School Board Association that keeps our policies pretty much in line, up to date with the current laws and stuff, the recommendation. Of course, a lot of times we vote on it.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't look at the policy.
Right.
But they're in there, and they are current, they're up to date, and for some of us old guys, they're not like the was.
They changed. And a lot of old school, a lot of state law, if you look in the books, was written by Smith County.
Yeah, it sure was.
A lot of it, that law, if you look back, in the olden days, Mr. Joe Anderson times, you'll look back, there was a lot of, Smith County, a lot of, Smith County had to do with it, so.
So, I've got one question, like this any policy here on social media or web pages, say that we as a board collectively didn't like something that was stated in that, do we have the right as a board to have that changed, Director?
Robin, explain how that,
Yes,
Let's
you
just say they
can,
got.
well, you've gotta meet a certain level of standards or expectations, but
you can make changes, you know, specific to whatever your school system is.
But
But
it
there,
could be-
there's a floor, to whatever you know, a minimum that you.
in other words, you couldn't decide as a board, even though it's a policy of 185 days, we just wanted to go 80 days.
Yeah.
It's gotta meet that threshold.
You've gotta be able to.
If you meet that and either go over or beyond,
So Director, Mr. Chairman, so when could you pull one of those items for discussion and then as a board collectively and
As long as you get it in,
well, you would, my understanding, you would probably ask for it and then go and discuss, put it on discussion.
Discussion, and go
And then
with
we would discuss
discussion,
it for the,
discuss it.
when you got your board packet, you'd look and you'd say, hey, I don't agree with 4.600, or I'd like to talk about some things, a possible change.
So before you do that, I would ask that if you're gonna pull a policy specifically for discussion, that you reach out to me and make sure that, you know, you don't need to be having, y'all are not the legislature, and if the legislature in Nashville has decided that we've gotta have a policy, then we've gotta have a policy, and so there's no point in pontificating in a board meeting over something that you can't change. But,
That's actually where I was going.
right, but, I mean, there are things that you can change.
give me an example, just to make, give me some.
I'll give you an example. When I was on the board, one of the policies, I was on drug testing for our employees. When I was reading the policy, one of the drugs that is, or one of the class of drugs that is often abused, that I see all the time in the court system, is benzodiazepine. And we did not test for that. And we added that as something that we tested for, you know, our employees. And so that was a class of drugs that we added, and we added that because I asked for it to be added. It was in a policy review situation, and that was one of the policies that I reviewed. I asked about it, and that was one of the changes that was made. And like a zero tolerance is another issue that has come up recently that I looked at. There was other, like in your discipline, like your level 1, level 2 disciplinary issues, if there was something that you felt like you wanted to move maybe from a that, I'm the one that made this the way that it
We
is, so
would-
that we didn't.
We would have to go as a group,
It was awesome.
policy by policy, and read it and listen. You know, about some long, boring times.
And the whole binder is like 3-inch binder,
You
4-inch.
have to do that every year.
It
You
was
don't,
painful.
Anything else, Marty, you got that answered? Okay, let's move on to, annual policy review for November. You've all, any questions? Executive session,
Very briefly,
you do need one?
very briefly.
I'll make
Okay,
a motion to go into executive session.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?